Day 4. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Radha
Krishna Pranaya Vikriti Ladini Shakti Rasma Ekatmanavapi Bhuvi Pura Deha Vedam Gatau Tau Chaitanyakhyam Prakatam Madhuna Tadvayam Chaikyamatam Radha Bhavadyuti Suvanitam Naumi Krishna Swarupam. The loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency. Although Radha and Krishna are one in their identity, they separated themselves eternally. Now these two transcendental identities have again united. In the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya, I bow down to him who has manifested himself with the sentiment and complexion of Srimati Radharani, although he is Krishna himself.
Hare Krishna. We'd like to welcome all of the wonderful devotees who have joined us over YouTube Live, devotees who have joined us over Facebook Live, and dear devotees who've joined us over Zoom. We welcome each and every one of you to this day 4 of Sri Siksastakam in this series of Sri Karnamrita. In these sessions of Sri Karnamrita, we bring to you beautiful katha, which is nectar to our ears in the form of Sri Siksastakam, Gopi Gita, Sri Radha Kripa Kataksha, Bhishma Stuti, Pramar Gita, Damodarashtakam, Sachisuta Ashtakam, Nectar of Instruction, and so on and so forth. So before we move into the session today, we'd like to announce and congratulate the participants of the quiz session from yesterday. We'd like to congratulate Hari Prasad Prabhu, Mother Amrita Radhika, Anjudi, Vinita Harjani Mataji, Shiminta Dweep Prabhu and Vaijayanti Lalita Mataji, Mitanjali Pradhan Mataji, Meera Bhushan Mataji, Janeshwar Gauranga Prabhu and Barshana Chitra Mataji, Hari Krishna Madhali Prabhu and Ranjani Gopika Mataji. Thank you to each and every one of you for enthusiastically participating in the quiz sessions. Hare Krishna.
So in today's session, we will continue with Sri Siksastakam, the 8 teachings of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And today we are covering the 3rd verse of Sri Siksastakam, which is Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. And today's topic is humility weakness or strength? And we'll understand the detailed explanation of the 3rd verse of Sri Siksastakam.
So when it comes to humility, we think that, when we weigh humility, we feel that humility, can be feather light, or is it as much as a stone? So which side would weigh much? Let us try to find out in today's session whether humility can be our strength or is it our weakness?
Many times people feel when someone is meek and humble, then in the material world, people feel, oh, I can easily bulldoze over this person and we can make him do whatever we want because he's very humble. And so generally, people don't like to be humble, don't like to have this quality of humility. They want to have strength and resilience and revolt and rebellion. So how does humility become strength, become our strength, or is it still a weakness? Let's review this.
So as we know that Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu has actually left us only 8 verses, which is the Sri Siksastakam, in which his mission and his precepts are very beautifully revealed. So we know that the first verse of the Siksastakam is Shraddha, which is the first stage, Shraddha meaning faith. The second verse, which we have already covered, it covers sadhu sangha, bhajana kriya, and anartha nivritti. All these 3 stages of devotional service is covered in the second verse of Sri Siksastakam. And today, in this third verse of Sri Siksastakam, it continues with anartha nivritti, that how we can take off the unwanted unwanted elements from us, and how can we always try to purely chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So we are again in the Anartha Nivritti stage with the third verse of Sri Siksastakam.
Trinadapi samichinda, tanorapi sahishnuna, amanina manadena, kirtaniya sada hari.
Which means one should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others and expect none in return. In such a state of mind only, one can chant the holy names of the Lord constantly.
So the import of this third verse is there are 4 things mentioned here: being humble, being tolerant, being respectful, and not expecting any respect in return. And as a result, what would happen? We will always be able to chant the holy names of the Lord if these 4 conditions are fulfilled. So it says, more humble than a blade of grass. What is this quality of a grass? The blade of grass, people step on it and the blade of grass just bows down under the feet. And as the feet goes away, it comes back up. This is the quality of resilience. Resilience is the ability to come back from trying circumstances, from testing situations. And we can only be resilient if we are humble, like a blade of grass. Otherwise, if these blades of grass were strong like sticks, and if someone would stamp on them with their shoes, they would just break. But they don't break because whenever situations are not favorable, they bow down and then again come back up. So we should not be proud. If we are proud and we are like stiff, then if it's a dry grass, sometimes the dry grass becomes very stiff and people stamp on it, it breaks. So humility is actually a strength which will stop us from breaking and become more and more resilient.
Very well. This is a very, very important point. Now, what does it mean to be more tolerant than a tree? A tree is so wonderful. From each and every part of the tree, each and every portion of the tree it gives only benefits to others. Of course, we see, any fruit trees, or even there are medicinal leaves. The leaves of the trees are also medicinal. There is, gum of the tree that comes out, that is also utilized. The bark of the tree is utilized. Each and the root of the tree is utilized. So each and everything is actually utilized. And the tree gives shade to all kinds of people, does not discriminate. Oh, did you ever water a plant? Did you ever pour water on me? You did not, so you're not allowed in my shade. The tree never distinguishes. The tree, without any consideration to anyone, to any species of life, to anybody from any caste, creed, religion, anyone can come and take shelter of the tree, and the tree never disagrees, or it says, no, you are not allowed in my shade. The tree is always very kind. But then what do, human beings, what do we do to these trees who are always so kind upon us? We cut down the trees. And when we cut them down, even then, the trees do not protest. Now, tolerance, sometimes we think that, oh, we have to just bite down our teeth and say, oh, okay, I'm tolerating now. Okay, you're putting injection in my body, or you're cutting my body, whatever you're doing, I'm tolerating. That's not what tolerance means. Tolerance means we do it without any kind of grudge. We do not show, we do not say that, oh, I am just, tolerating this situation because I have no other option than to just, clench my teeth and bite down and just be in this situation. No, we must try to rise above the situation. Like when the trees are also cut down, they actually pave way for new communities to come, or even the tree trunks are used for different kinds of activities. So the tree is always giving. That is the nature, that is the quality that we must try to imbibe from the trees.
The third quality is to offer respect to others. And the fourth one is not expect any respect in return. It is sometimes maybe easy to offer respect to others, those who are our friends. But then when we offer respect, we expect that they will respect us as well. If we offer respect to someone and that other person kicks us or slaps us, would we say, what kind of a person are you? I'm speaking respectfully to you. Why can't you speak respectfully to me? So this is very important, how to be in this mood to offer respect to others and expect none in return. And only in this mood, Kirtaniya Sadahari, we can always chant the holy names of the Lord.
So we can see that respect is not just a word. If we just remove the R from respect, what do we have? Expect. It's the way we say it. Of course, expect is E-X-P-E-C-T, but this is also expect. We should not be expecting any kind of respect in return. So this is something that we can learn from this word itself, that just remove the R, and that's something we should not do, but just give respect to others. So now let's take a detailed look into these qualities of humility, of tolerance, and offering all respect to others.
So Trinadapi Sunichena, which means one should be more humble than a blade of grass. Now, what if we say that Arjuna, while he was fighting and killing people, he was displaying humility? So let's understand, how is that? Srila Prabhupada defines humility in Bhagavad Gita in his purport on 13.8 to 12, that humility is to not be anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored by others. Again, humility is not be anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored by others. So when we go out and we expect, oh, I'm dressed so nicely, I'm doing this, and I'm such and such person, and people should uh, honor me. If we glorify me, if we expect that, then that is against humility. So, which means we should not let our ego interfere with our purpose to satisfy Krishna. That's what humility means. Arjuna, when he fought, he was actually humble. Sometimes we think humility means to not be aggressive and just be humble, be, oh, Hari Bol Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, how are you doing? Oh, it's very nice, very nice. That may be one form of humility, but in essence, real humility is to actually not let our ego come before Krishna's pleasure, which means to be brave for Krishna. With this definition, if Arjuna would not have fought, that would be against humility. Humility is to accept honor, but not to expect honor. We should, if we are honored, we will accept the honor and pass it on to our Guru and Krishna. But we must not do something simply to expect honor. Another misconception of humility is sometimes we feel humility means self-pity or thinking low of oneself.
And this actually is something very, very common that, people, all of us, we tend to misunderstand humility in this way, that, we just think very low of oneself, oh, I am so this, I'm so fallen, I'm so terrible, I don't have any good qualities, nothing is good in me. But this is also a negative way of being self-absorbed. It is like, it's not puffed up ego, but it is deflated ego. This is what it is, but humility is actually the launching pad to freedom from self-absorption. It is, getting out of the concept of I, me, and mine. That every time thinking, oh, I am this, I am fallen, I am very bad, I am this. Rather, let's think that how glorious are the devotees, how wonderful is Krishna. That is humility. Not to be, humility is actually to be able to focus on Krishna's greatness. Not to just keep thinking, oh, I am so low, I am so fallen. But let us, because when we are thinking, I am fallen, I am so low, then we are still in that I consciousness. Where is Krishna in this? Krishna is absent. So rather than thinking about one's own smallness, we should try to focus on the greatness of Krishna.
And that is humility. Humility is not to think less of oneself, but to think of oneself less, meaning so that we can think of Krishna more and not keep thinking about I, keep thinking of Krishna. That is humility. And only if we are humble, we can take shelter of Krishna. We need to cure our pride. And in order to become humble, we need to cure this pride. But that does not mean that we do not express ourselves or our talents and do nothing, saying, oh, I'm so fallen, I cannot do anything. One time, one disciple went to Srila Prabhupada, and after paying obeisances, Prabhupada asked, how are you doing? And he said, Prabhupada, I'm very fallen. So Prabhupada said, so what are you doing about it? Meaning, Srila Prabhupada was not very impressed by his display of deflated ego or thinking less of himself. I'm very fallen. That's okay, but what are you doing about it? How are you trying to focus on Krishna's greatness and not on your own fallen condition? So the cure of pride, when we become proud, that's opposite of humility. How do we cure that? It's not by suppression of talent that, oh, I should not go and do these things in front of everyone. No, but by purification of intent, we should try to see, yes, I will do big, big things, whatever I can as Krishna's instrument. I'm willing to do that. But my intent is not for me, for Krishna. Idam Krishnaya idam namama. Whenever we do yajna, that's what when we pour ghee, the yajna person, he says, idam Krishnaya idam namama. This is for Krishna, not for me. So every time we do any activity, we must focus on this is for Krishna, and we must make sure we also add this is not for me, because sometimes our ego tags along with, okay, this is for Krishna and a little bit for me too. No, we must say this is all for Krishna, not for my egoistic pleasure.
So tolerance in Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada says that one's greatness is estimated by the ability to tolerate provocating situations. Srila Prabhupada actually tells this in connection to when Vasudev and Devaki, right after their marriage, they were going in the chariot, and Kamsa himself was driving the chariot. And at that time, the voice from the skies above said that the 8th child of your own sister Devaki is going to kill you, O Kamsa. And Kamsa, he just forgot, what is the connection that he has, the relationship that he has with his own sister. And he said, you're going to be the mother of someone who's going to come and kill me. I'm going to kill the root cause. I'm going to kill you. So he was just, was about to just smash the head of Mother Devaki. But at that moment, Vasudev intervened. And when he intervened, Srila Prabhupada, in that connection, he writes this particular statement, that one's greatness is estimated by the ability to tolerate provoking situations. Vasudev could have gotten very angry that, how dare you? You are driving our chariot. I just married your sister, and you are now coming and killing my newly wedded wife. How dare you do that? A battle could have ensued at that time. But what did Vasudev do instead? He acted very intelligently. And he said, my dear brother-in-law, please do not do this. I assure you that whatever child we have, I will come and personally give them to you. And you can do with them whatever you like. Why do you want to take the sin? Why do you incur the sin of killing a woman in this way? Don't kill a helpless woman in this way and incur the sin. So Srila Prabhupada writes in this connection that how Vasudev acted so beautifully, so tolerantly. He acted in that provoking situation. And that is the greatness of Vasudev.
So it does not mean that being tolerant means we become passive and don't do anything in the name of tolerance. But it means that we should keep focus on the bigger things and not on the smaller things. If we see in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Matra sparshastu konteya sitoshna sukhadukhada agamapayino nityas tam stitikshasva bharata. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception of sign of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. In one sense, he's saying all of these disturbances which come, don't get distracted by them, ignore them. So then we said, oh, tolerance means passiveness. Don't do anything, just tolerate. But then he says in 11th chapter, Tasmat tvam uttishta yasho labhasva jitva shatrun bhungshva rajyam samriddham mayaivaite nihita purvameva nimittamatra bhavasavyasachi. Therefore, get up, prepare to fight and win glory. Conquer your enemies and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement. And you Oh, Savyasachi can be the instruments in this fight. On one hand, Krishna is asking Arjuna to tolerate. On the other hand, he's asking Arjuna to fight and become his instrument. What should he do? What is tolerance? Here he's saying, become my instrument, focus on the bigger issue of becoming my instrument rather than the smaller issues of this Shitoshna Sukha Dukkha, the permanent appearance and disappearance of happiness and distress.
So in this connection, sometimes, Srila Prabhupada was asked this question that if Arjuna was the best student of the Bhagavad Gita, then why, when Abhimanyu was attacked, when Abhimanyu entered single-handedly into the Chakra Vyuha that was set up by Dronacharya, and he was attacked by all the stalwart leaders of the Kaurava army. And when he was trying to defend himself, but he could not. At that time, Abhimanyu was brutally killed by the Kauravas. So Srila Prabhupada was asked this question that how come when Krishna taught Arjuna the Gita, and there Krishna is teaching Arjuna to be very, very have equilibrium, whether it is death or life, or be equipoised in happiness and distress, and be a sthitadhi, be a sage of steady mind. When Krishna is saying all this and Arjuna understood this also, then why did he cry, as we see here in this picture? Poor little Abhimanyu, 16-year-old boy, he was dead, and Arjuna is coming with Krishna behind him, and Arjuna is crying. He's crying, a father who just lost his 16-year-old child. So Srila Prabhupada was asked this, that that means, is Arjuna not a perfect disciple of the Bhagavad Gita? And what was Srila Prabhupada's response?
Srila Prabhupada said that yes, Arjuna cried because devotees are by nature very soft-hearted. It doesn't mean that if someone is a devotee or a follower of Bhagavad Gita, they will be like stone, and whatever happens, nothing evades them. No, he will cry, he will laugh, he will have all these different emotions, and even much more sensitive than regular people. But his devotional service is seen in the fact that he did not give up Krishna's service. He did not give up fighting. He could have said, Krishna, look, I told you in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita that I don't want to fight, but you pushed me, you forced me to fight. And now look what's happening. All my relatives are dying one by one, and my little 16-year-old boy also died now so mercilessly. I told you I didn't want to get into this. So now, thank you very much. I tried to follow your instructions. It's not working out. I'm out of here. He could have said that. But even though his relatives were dying, even though he was seeing his son died, he cried, but he did not give up the service of Krishna. That is the test of a devotee. That so many situations and troubles may come in our life, or happiness may come in our life, but we may go through those emotions, but we will not let our service, our chanting of the holy names, our sadhana be affected by this. Our service of preaching and our service of serving devotees, our service of chanting the holy names, we will not let that get affected. That is real tolerance.
Very well. So in this regard, there's a very wonderful story that there was once a man in a village who had this issue of getting very angry. He was very impatient and he would get very angry. And there was a sage who was visiting that particular village. And then this man went to that sage and said, my dear sir, please, please help me. I have this anger issue. What can I do? And the sage said, don't worry, my child. Next time you get angry, don't vent it out on a person, on anybody. He said, well, I'll go mad. I'll burst if I don't vent out my anger. What to do? He said, okay, if you are getting angry next time, take a hammer and a nail, go into the backyard of your home, and in the wooden fence, you just, hammer a nail into the wooden fence. So this man said, okay, I will do that. So then his big long fence, in a matter of a few months, it was all filled with nails. And then there was no more space. So then he ran back to the sage and said, my dear sage, now there's no more space. So now next time I get angry, what should I do? What should I do? Tell me. So then the sage said, okay, now when you get angry, flip the hammer on the other side, which is like a pointed, Y, and then yank out each nail that you have put in, pull the nails out. So he said, okay, that also takes a lot of struggle. I'll do that. I'll pull out all the nails. And then the sage finally, then after a couple of months, when all the nails were gone, the sage visited the backyard of this person. And he said, come, let me show you that, look, what has happened to your fence? Everywhere there is a hole. There is nothing that is solid anymore. Your wooden fence is filled with holes. Now imagine that when you actually get angry, you actually are driving a nail in front of the person to whose heart, to whom you are actually venting your anger out. So you are, hammering a nail in the heart of such a person who you are showing your anger out. So in this way, the sage actually tried to give a visual presentation to this man. And he said, oh, I understand now that how difficult it is that even if we pull out the nail from the wooden fence, but still that hole remains unfilled. So anger can do such great harm. So tolerance does not just mean that we tolerate while we're grinding our teeth. Tolerance actually includes forgiveness.
For example, Ambarish Maharaj, when he was faced with the situation where Durvasa Muni got angry for apparently no fault of his. He just wanted to break his fast because the timing was going away, and he looked and he had his brahmanas look into the scriptures, and they said, you know what? If you sip a drop of water, that is considered breaking of fast, but it's just water, so it's not disrespecting your guest, Durvasa Muni. But Durvasa Muni, as he was drinking that drop of water, Durvasa Muni came and he said, how dare you? This is disrespecting the guest. And he took his hair and he formed this huge demon charging towards Ambarish Maharaj. And Ambarish Maharaj, he wasn't like he started defending himself. He just was very tolerant and said, whatever, I'm dependent on Krishna. Whatever Krishna decides, Mare Krishna Rakhe ke, Rakhe Krishna Mare ke. If Krishna wants to kill me, I cannot be saved. If Krishna wants to save me, I cannot be killed. And he just submitted himself to Krishna. And he forgave immediately. Before even the offense of Durvasa Muni was complete, he had forgiven Durvasa Muni. And he tolerated, not with grudge, but with forgiveness.
Similarly, we see in the pastime of Srila Haridas Thakur that how Haridas Thakur, he tolerated the offenses of the soldiers and he forgave them, who beat Haridas Thakur up in 22 marketplaces. In fact, not only did Haridas Thakur forgive these soldiers, but rather he prayed for their deliverance. How much, this is at a different level altogether. There are various levels of forgiveness. Forgiveness on the very initial level is like, yes, okay, fine, I forgive you, and I do not want to see you anymore, and you have your life, I have my life. That is forgiveness also. Second stage of forgiveness is that we say, fine, I cannot really, I cannot do, I forgive you, but I will, I don't want any harm to come to you. May good things happen to you. I pray for your well-being. That is something that we do in the second stage. But what is the highest stage? The highest stage is that we not only forgive them, but we pray that they make spiritual advancement, that they get Krishna in their lives. This is the highest stage which was manifested by Srila Haridas Thakur. So forgiveness, Haridas Thakur, he actually remembered that how forgiveness is actually very, very dear to Krishna. Why did Haridas Thakur have this courage to forgive people who were beating him up? Because Haridas Thakur remembered what he had done to Krishna, in the form of Brahma Vimohan Leela. When Lord Brahma, when Krishna was in Dwapar Yuga, when Krishna was in the Vanabhojana Leela, he was eating with his friends in the forest. At that time, Lord Brahma came to see, let me see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what he is doing. And Krishna, at that moment, he was eating lunch with his friends, and Madhu Mangala had only buttermilk, and Madhu Mangala was feeling so bad. Oh, how can I give, what Krishna is wanting? So Madhu Mangala just drank the buttermilk. And Krishna said, no, Madhu Mangal, I want, come here in front of me. And Madhu Mangal his face was filled up. And Krishna just went like that. And a fountain of the buttermilk came straight. And Krishna opened his mouth and he drank straight the fountain of buttermilk from Madhu Mangal's mouth. And seeing this, Brahma went, ew, what kind of a Supreme Personality of Godhead is this? That who is drinking the leftovers from the mouth of another person? How can this be the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And then Brahma kidnapped everyone, all the cowherd boys. Krishna manifested as each and every one of them. And then Brahma realized his mistake. And then he came to beg forgiveness from Krishna. And Krishna forgave him. Very wonderfully, Krishna forgave him. But when Krishna forgave him, at that time, Krishna actually, when Brahma begged for forgiveness from Krishna, Krishna forgave him and asked him that, yes, you can be born as Haridas Thakur so that you can purify yourself when you're chanting the holy names of Krishna.
And in both cases, when they forgave, Krishna's protection came. When Ambarish Maharaj forgave Durvasa Muni, Krishna threw his Sudarshan Chakra. And then later on, Durvasa Muni was forgiven as well. And with Haridas Thakur also, Krishna protected him, that after being beaten in 22 marketplaces, he was thrown in the ocean,
in the
Ganga, and he came back again. And in fact, Krishna was saying, I was so angry, I was wanting to throw my Sudarshan Chakra, but my Sudarshan Chakra was not going out of my hand because your power of forgiveness had stopped my Sudarshan Chakra to punish those people, because you had forgiven, and you not just forgiven, you prayed for them. That's why the Sudarshan Chakra was not even going out of my hand. So when we forgive, it's a sign of dependence on Krishna, that Krishna, you deal with this situation. I don't want to personally be involved in this situation, whatever has happened to me, and then Krishna will intervene in the long term. Similarly, Arjuna was also tolerant. Even though he was fighting, but he was still tolerant, because he was not fighting out of grudge for his relatives. He was fighting to become Krishna's instrument. He was angry during the fight. Of course, you have to be angry if you fight, but not because of any grudge, but in order to become Krishna's instrument. That is real tolerance, that he forgave them for all the offenses they had committed, but still fought. That is the understanding of tolerance. And then we come to the third quality, amanina, not manadena, which means give respect to others, and amanina, expect no respect in return. These two have to go together. And therefore we need to understand 2 things to forget and 2 things to remember. 2 things to forget is, one, anything good that we have done to others, forget it. Second thing to forget, anything bad that someone has done to us, forget it. Why? Because then we'll be able to do the 2 things to remember. What are the 2 things to remember? Always remember that this could be our last breath, and therefore take shelter of chanting the holy names. That's the second thing to remember. But unless we execute the 2 things to forget, we will not be able to execute the 2 things to remember. If we are always expecting respect for ourselves, we will be completely frustrated, because giving respect is in our control, but others giving respect to us is not in our control. And if we try to control that, we'll be completely frustrated and will never be able to focus on chanting the holy names. For example, this is the pastime of Krishna being humble and giving himself to Arjuna and Duryodhana.
So we know that when the battle of Kurukshetra was about to begin, that both Arjuna and Duryodhana came to seek help from Krishna. And Krishna, being the supreme independent Lord, Duryodhana actually went and sat at the head of Krishna. As we see, he's sitting down. But Arjuna, with all humility, he was actually standing near the lotus feet of Krishna. And when Krishna got up, that's when he just first saw Arjuna, and he said, "My dear Arjuna, tell me, what do you want?" So in this thing, we see that, Arjuna came and offered all his respect to Krishna. But Krishna, he was not expecting that Duryodhana will ever any time respect him. No. Krishna knew the attitude of Duryodhana, that Duryodhana only wants to take in a very miserly way. But Krishna never expected anything from Duryodhana.
And the proof of that is that he gave respect to both of them, but he himself took the position of a charioteer. He said, I will give my army to whoever you want, or I will come as a charioteer, give myself to you, but I will not fight. So who do you want? And Arjuna, of course, selected Krishna, even though he would not fight. And Duryodhana said, well, if Krishna would not fight, of what use is he to me? I'll take his army. And he took Krishna's army. So Krishna gave all respect, but he didn't expect any respect in return. He took a humble position of a charioteer. Amanina Manadena. And the source of Amanina Manadena is Krishna himself. And if we associate with Krishna with his holy names, we'll be able to develop this quality of Amanina Manadena. And as a result, we'll be chanting the holy names more intensely, which will give us these qualities of humility, tolerance, and respect, and allow us to chant the holy names, and will keep going in circular expansion of our devotional qualities.
So as we know, these 8 verses of the Sri Siksastakam, they are like precious pearls, and there's a string that goes around these 8 pearls of verses, and which keep them together as the nice offering. And that is the string of Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. So this particular verse, we know, Trinadapi Sunichena, this 3rd verse, we are establishing our relationship with Krishna.
And the string that we see that is binding the beads of our chanting beads together, that string is the Trinadapi Sunichena verse. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he says that make this verse of Trinadapi Sunichena verse as the string that is binding your beads of the holy names, because this is what is keeping us together. This is keeping our chanting of the holy names together. This is unseen, but the most important string.
So we know that every verse of the Sri Siksastakam corresponds very beautifully with, some verse from the Sri Gopi Geet. Like this third verse of Sri Siksastakam, where Gauranga Mahaprabhu is teaching us how to be humble, how to be tolerant, how to offer all respect to others and expect none in return. It actually corresponds beautifully with the 6th verse of Sri Gopi Gita, where the gopis are teaching us that how Krishna's sweet smile has the potency to completely vanquish and shatter our pride. So when we are vanquishing and shattering our pride, it arises actual humility. So the gopis are saying in the 6th verse,
Oh, beloved Krishna, you destroy the suffering of Vraja's people, O hero of all women. Your smile just shatters the false pride of your devotees. Please, dear friend, accept us as your maidservants and show us your beautiful lotus face.
Vraja Janatihan
Virayoshita Nija Jana Smaya Tvam Sana Smita Bhaja Sakhe Bhava Kinkari Hasmano Jalaruhanam Charudarshaya. So with this, we end this presentation on the 3rd verse of Siksastakam. Today's Japa tip is, when I chant, I chant. What it means is that when we chant, our whole world must be put on hold. It should just be about us and Krishna and nothing else. When I chant means not only creating the external space, but more importantly, creating the internal environment in which we don't allow ourselves to become distracted. We should, many devotees, we create an internal bhajan kutir where only Krishna and the previous acharyas and Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj are inside that bhajan kutir in our hearts. And then we tell our mind, nothing else exists in the world except the holy names and the soul. I am pressing the pause button of my life right now and entering this bhajan kutir in my heart, where I will chant the holy names. Don't disturb me with the problems that I'm facing in this life. When I come out of the bhajan kutir after finishing my rounds, I will press the play button again of my life. With this determination, if we chant the holy names, we will actually experience a transcendental experience above the happiness and distress of our current problems or even of previous lives. So today's japa affirmation is, when I chant, I chant.
Hari Hari. So today we dedicate the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra to the family of our dearest Anjudi, for Anjudi's mother, for her well-being, for our dearest Hemangi Mataji's mother-in-law, for our very dearest brother, for our dearest Bhakti Mataji and Krishna Sharanam Prabhu, for AJ, Nikki, and the family of our dearest Amrita Radhika. And we also wish dearest Nadia Radha, who actually celebrated her first birthday yesterday. So wishing you a very happy birthday, dearest Radha. We pray for Sundari Lalita Mataji's family. We pray for dearly beloved little Mehek. We pray for Sumohan Gopal Prabhu and the family of our dearest Champakalata. And we also wish a very happy birthday to dearest Swara, who is the daughter of Bhaktimati Indulekha Mataji, that is Benita from Mumbai.
So we pray that may the Supreme Lord Nrsingadev grant protection and fearlessness to everyone.
Haribo.
Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Vikinatine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavad Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhattavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Jai Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna.
So the quiz for today is, what are the 4 conditions to be followed to constantly chant the holy names of the Lord?
Second, what is the quality that one must imbibe from the trees?
Third, what does Srila Prabhupada say about humility?
Fourth, how did Vasudev display his greatness when Kamsa tried to kill Devaki?
Fifth, what are the different stages of forgiveness?
Six, which verse of the Gopi Gita corresponds to the third verse of Sri Siksastakam?
Seventh, what is today's japa affirmation?
Haribo.
So let's open the lines for questions, comments, and reflections.
And thank you so much, dearest Ranjani Gopika, for the fantastic quiz questions. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Thank you so much for the wonderful session and the well wishes and the prayers and the japa. Radha was singing along with you to the best of her ability.
Happy
She was
birthday,
singing.
Radha.
Oh, say happy birthday, Radha. Say happy birthday. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. It's so much of a pleasure to always, she sits with me and listens and claps. And when you have such nectarian Banjans, she just tries to sing and clap her hands. So thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, dearest Amrita Radhika. Thank you.
So grateful for you.
Thank you. Love
Okay.
you.
Love you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji Prabhuji, Dandavad
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna, Prabhu.
All glories goes to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you so much, Prabhuji and Mataji, for today's session. It is very, very helpful for us. I think so. Today we have so many life lessons which we learned from you both. So we understood the exact meaning of humility. Yes, we can accept the honor, but we should not expect the honor that you said. That is very, very important. And Mataji also quoted like the deflated ego, which I have more. I have to correct myself. So the me, mine, I there. So there is no Krishna. So hereby I will think that Krishna is great. Krishna is helping me in all aspects and giving the devotee association like you both. I will think like that. But you quoted many examples where I found like Guru is most important, I feel, because when Arjuna is not able to take a decision, tolerance or fight, right? So he followed the instruction of a guru like a Krishna. Even Ambarish Maharaj also, right? Maharaj and Prabhuji. So he completed his fasting as the senior devotee, I mean senior guru also in his assembly. So which is very, very important, which I learned the other way. So guru and spiritual master and devotee association is very, very important to live in this material world and to go to spiritual world, I feel. That is most important. And yeah, the other thing also, we should not expect respect from others. We should respect to others. Yeah, that is very good, Prabhuji and Mataji. Sometimes now we may miss that one in my official life. As you said, now I'm giving respect to you. Why you're not giving it? That happens sometimes, Prabhuji, because the freshers are coming nowadays. Now they're very, what can I say, very naughty, and they're not respecting the elders and everything. But I will follow this one. But wherever you said, I do remember you previously you said like, wherever we have to raise your head, that you should raise it, but it should not hurt others. So I'm keeping in that mind always. So even when my manager get angry with me, so I'll keep in that my mind, and then I'm talking to them, responding. Right, we should not react the situation. We have to respond. You guided me. I do remember. So that helps me a lot, Prabhuji. So I'm able to curb my anger and control myself. So slowly, slowly I'm improving. Yeah, it's very, very nice. And thank you so much for singing my divine Gopi Geet. Oh, my heart is melting again. I have to say like that whenever you both sing that one. And thank you for the Japa tip as well. Yes, we will feel like that. So it is very good example, Prabhuji and Mataji, because 3 rounds we chant properly, and 4th round again we'll go to the material problems only. Yesterday I faced this, and today also what it need to, and sometimes now what we want to do in plan also coming to my mind, sometimes out to our mind.
Yes.
That should control. Yeah, everything is wonderful. Thank you so much, Prabhuji and Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat
Thank
Pranam.
you so much.
One quick thing I would say is that if if you have to defend yourself, don't back off from defending yourself. But before you defend yourself, make sure that we have done the work of forgiving the other person.
Mm.
And in that way, before we start defending, then we'll defend it in a proper mood and not out of grudge against someone else. So we must defend ourselves, but we should also first try to forgive them before we defend ourselves.
Sure,
So
Prabhuji.
we also have another announcement to make, that this week, because it is the most auspicious appearance day of Lord Balaram, is coming up. So it is on Thursday in the US, and I believe it's on Friday in India. So we will be having a special session of Abhishek this time of Krishna Balaram. So please join in to, have darshan of live Abhishek. Then there'll be a quiz and a very short class of some very special nectarian pastimes of Lord Balaram, sweet pastimes of Lord Balaram. And that'll be the program on Thursday, which is Thursday evening US time, which will be Friday morning India time. So we look forward to all of your association. Vinita Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Yes. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna.
Yes, Mataji, after so, today's session, I got that point, but I have a question.
Yes.
Ki when somebody is angry and we pierce a nail, and
Yes.
when it is removed, means the hole is there. Now, how is that hole filled? And one more thing, forgiveness. We normally forgive because I don't know about others, but I do forgive, but we don't forget.
Yeah.
It is always there. Somewhere it is there. So how are these two things to be tackled?
Okay, that's a wonderful question, both the questions. The first one, the nail comes out and but the hole remains. How to fill that hole? Well, that the scar will always be there. It will never be the same. Even if we try to fill it, even if we try to ask forgiveness from that person for our anger, or we try to serve that person in a way that pleases him, these are some ways that we can try to fill that hole. But we should understand that the scar will always remain. It will never be the same. But that's how it is. That's how in China they have a ceremony where they bring these broken plates, because China plates, if they fall down, they break. They break, but then they fix them with golden strings and golden glue. And so you'll see that the plate is fixed, but there is golden marks in between, and it looks much beautiful as well. So we can try. We'll see the marks, but then if we can make those marks as golden, that is what the next best thing we can do. First is not try to put holes, but then in the material world, it's just not possible. Even unknowingly, sometimes it may happen. But the best thing we can do is, glue it with golden glues.
And that can be with our action of, generosity, with our actions of love, with our actions of service. That way we can fill up those holes. So we hope that that answers your first question. And your next question is about how to forget. Well, how to forget? It is, the root cause of forgetting. How to forget is one word, which is expect. If we stop expecting, then it's very easy to forgive, not just forgive, but even forget.
Forget.
You know,
Yeah.
when we don't expect anything from anybody, expectations is the root cause of this problem of not being able to forget.
Material expectation, an expectation of respect, as we said here. Amanina manadena.
So not to have that expectation, and that, you know, because, you know, we want to, you know, we are expecting that, oh, how can you forget what I did to you? Or don't you remember this is what I have done to you? Or how can I forget what you have done to me? You know, so nasty things that you have done to me. Why does all these things come? It comes because we expect that we need to be treated nicely. That is the
Yeah.
root cause. So if we just give up that expectation, that, you know, just think about Krishna. Krishna, we are part and parcels of Krishna. And Krishna has given up expectations from us. He's not expecting anything from us, but he's wanting our love. He wants that we should, you know, look towards him, we should serve him. And Krishna is actually waiting for that. He's longing for that. But if we don't do it, Krishna does not carry a grudge. So therefore, Krishna is not expecting that, you know.
Another way of looking at it is that if the symptom that we have truly forgiven a person, for example, is that when we come in front of that person, we will not have any grudge. That is the symptom. But if we remember some of the things that that person has done, and when we just the thought of it, the remembrance of it disturbs us, that means we have somewhere not forgiven that person. Otherwise, it won't matter whether we forget or remember. Even if we remember, it won't hurt us or disturb us because we have forgiven that person. Although we will try not to associate with that person, probably because we don't want that thing to be repeated again and again. But if we have truly forgiven, then it won't matter whether we remember or forget. So
Yes,
that's something
Prabhuji,
to ponder.
what you spoke, I got it, but my connection was like this is possible only if it's outside the family. But if the association is daily association, daily interaction, then how do we deal with this? Like daily you're being hurt, daily you forgive, daily, but because for me, not forgetting is not like keeping a grudge, but being
Yeah.
cautious so that this does not
Yeah.
happen again.
Yeah, we should be cautious. Yes, forgiving
Yes,
does not mean that
because
we
yeah.
put again ourselves in harm's way, or that everything is hunky dory now. Now everything can go back to normal. That forgiveness does not mean that. Forgiveness means in our minds we are not feeling disturbed, but for practical reasons we may restrict our association, or we may still express that no, everything is not hunky dory. I mean, this thing did happen. I have forgiven you. That does not mean that now we ignore everything that has happened. So forgiveness is just for our betterment, for us, and because Krishna forgives us in so many ways, so we are forgiving others. Otherwise, if we don't forgive, Krishna will not will also start taking offense with everything that little bit we do. Where will we go?
And we keep doing that.
Yeah. So we take inspiration from Krishna's forgiveness, and Krishna forgives us because when he sees that, oh, this person is forgiving others, okay, I will forgive him as well.
And why does Krishna forgive us? Because he loves us.
Right.
He loves
That is
us.
the bottom line. That Krishna loves us unconditionally, whether we are serving him, whether we are not serving him, whether we remember him, whether we've forgotten him, it doesn't matter to Krishna. Krishna just loves us unconditionally, and that is why he's able to forgive us. So when we are also dealing with our family, you know, as you rightly put it, that it sometimes gets very difficult. But if we truly love them, if we truly genuinely love them, then we should be able to forget and move on and not
That
have
is
that expectation.
And with forgiveness, the important thing is there cannot be any condition to forgive. if this person does this, then I will forgive. That will never happen. Otherwise, we will never be able to forgive. We need to forgive just because we want to forgive, just because Krishna forgives us, so we forgive others. That's the only reason. If we look for reason to forgive, we will never find any reason to forgive. So that is something which we can ponder as well. And one time a sage was going into the river, and a scorpion came, and the scorpion bit him. And this person, put him back into the river. And again, the scorpion bit him. So then again and again, when the scorpion was biting, and this person was saving the scorpion from the river again and again, because the scorpion was drowning. So he took him back from the river. The scorpion bit him again, and then he again dropped him. Again, he took him out. Again, he bit him. Again, he dropped him. And so one person on the bank was saying, "What are you doing? Why are you saving the scorpion again and again? It's biting you again and again." The sage said, "The scorpion is doing its dharma, and I'm doing my dharma."
Very well.
Very nice, very nice. Prabhuji, I just want to say one thing. The more we get into this, the process is very, very beautiful, Krishna consciousness. But the more deep you go, it's more challenging, lot of patience. It is, definitely. And the realization is there that it's the right way.
Correct.
But a lot of endeavor is required.
Very true, Mataji. In this regard, Srila Prabhupada always says that Krishna consciousness is simple, but it's not easy.
It's not easy.
It's simple, but it's not easy.
Because the more you want to, you feel, you've grown over this quality, this wrong quality. But again, when after some time you do it, still I have to grow. Like that feeling coming.
Yes.
It's
very
happening.
Beautiful realization. Yes, so true.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, both of you.
Yeah.
Seeing you in the morning is a real pleasure.
Same here. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam. We thank all the wonderful devotees, Shruti Mataji, Jamuna Mataji, Hari Prasad Prabhu, of course, and Anju Mataji, Monica Mataji, Nutan Mataji, Mitanjali Mataji, Veena Mataji. Thank you all so much for your beautiful comments. Any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Please accept my obeisances. All glories to you and all glories to Shri Guru. Thank you for a wonderful class, very valuable lessons to learn. As Hari Prasad Prabhu pointed out, he went through all the details, and especially the true meaning of humility, because sometimes we misunderstand what humility is. And one of the takeaways for me was, when you remember, when you're doing something for Krishna, then there is humility comes in, and not your humility, even when you're with a deflated ego. I like that, deflated ego. That's something new I heard today. So thank you so much once again. And as always, I appreciate whatever you do for all of us.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. We are so grateful for your wonderful association, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Beautifully explained humility and humble, how to be humble. Once you know what is humility, then you can be humble. And also, the two things you forget and two things you remember. I was thinking, even, of course, you forget if somebody does bad to you, and also you forget when you do good something to others. But what about something others do good to you? Do you have to remember that, or you don't remember?
Yes, we should remember that, and we should be grateful for that.
Yes.
We should express our gratitude. That we should remember. That helps us in our Krishna consciousness, because when we express great gratitude to others, we are actually expressing gratitude to Krishna, because that they were just instruments in doing good to us. And if we express that gratitude to them, we indirectly or directly also express that gratitude to Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. And also the most of the misunderstanding or the pride and everything comes when you expect something from others.
Yes.
You know, maybe you expect somebody to answer the way you want, or you want to behave them as you want. And
Yes.
when they don't behave, or when they don't answer, or when they don't dress the way you want, that's when the problem comes. So that's
Right.
where the expectation is there. You know, if you don't expect, you are happy, he is happy, Krishna is happy, everybody is happy. That is the more important thing, to be non-expecting anything from anyone.
Very true. Very true, Prabhu. Very true.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? If not, we can end here and see you tomorrow. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
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 Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Have a
Krishna.
very